In this video, I'm swapping a 2006 to 2007 ZX10 shock into a second-gen SV650. I'm working on a 2003 SV650, and my bike's getting some other work done at the moment, so things will look a little different than your bike. Getting started, let's get this old shock out of here. To do this, you're going to need to support your bike from some other way than the rear wheel. I've got a couple of jack stands under the mainframe. The three main bolts you need to undo is the shock link bolt, the lower shock mount, and the upper shock mount. Some of these bolts were pretty tight on my bike, so I did have to use a breaker bar to get them off. Now with this first bolt removed, our swing arm is free to move up and down. Next up is the lower shock mounting bolt. On the SV shock, on this bolt there's actually no nut on the other end. The lower shock mount itself is threaded to receive the bolt. And for this reason, this is the one bit of hardware we won't be able to reuse for the ZX10 shock. You'll have to use the ZX10 lower shock mounting bolt to put it in. With this last bolt removed, we can now get the SV shock out of here. I'm pulling it out the top. On your bike, you'll have stuff in the way and you're going to have to drop it out the bottom. Now that we can put both shocks side by side, let's take a closer look at how they compare. Starting with adjustability, on your SV shock, the only adjustment you get is preload adjustment. You have these different settings you can place it into here, and it's definitely better than nothing, but it's not as precise and you don't have as broad of a range of adjustment as you get on the ZX10 shock. On the ZX10 shock, the preload adjustment has these two nuts that you can thread up and down. You get a bit more range of adjustment and you can dial it in much more precisely. On the ZX10 shock, what you also get for adjustability is damping adjustment. At the top, you've got a compression damping adjuster, and down at the bottom, you've got a rebound damping adjuster. Unfortunately, the SV650 shock has no damping adjustment, so if you don't like the way it feels, you're stuck with what you got. Now let's look at shock length. From eye to eye, the SV650 shock measures in at 330 millimeters in length. The ZX10 shock measures slightly longer at 338 millimeters in length. There's a couple of other not so noticeable differences between these two shocks. I think I'll save some of that stuff for the end of this video, where I'll talk about that, as well as how the ZX10 shock compares to some aftermarket options out there that you might also be considering. But for now, let's go ahead and get this on the bike and see how well it fits. Get the ZX10 shock into position and go ahead and start by installing the upper shock mounting bolt. Just tighten it down by hand for now. Don't torque anything down too tight until you get all the other bolts into position. Next up is the lower shock mounting bolt. Like I mentioned earlier, you'll need to reuse the ZX10 mounting bolt. The ZX10 bolt is slightly longer and comes with a nut on the other end to install it. And because we're using a different bolt than what was originally on there, that presents a slight problem. These links on the right side where the nut is has a risk of interfering with the lower shock mounting bolt when this thing moves around. I went ahead and solved this problem by spacing the head of the bolt out with a couple of washers. You could do that or just trim the bolt shorter. This does give us a little bit more clearance, but I can only space it out this much because if I go any more, the locking teeth on the lock nut won't engage with the threads. So that's as far as I can space it out. It's almost perfect, but there's still a slight chance they could interfere, so I'd like to do a little better. And to do that, I've got a couple more spacing washers that I'm going to go ahead and put on the shock link. Spacing out the link with a couple of washers should give me the clearance that I need, so I don't have to worry about these two interfering when the shock moves up and down. And same deal on these nuts and bolts. You can space it out a little bit, but you can only go but so much because you still need to make sure that the teeth on the lock nuts engage with the threads. So there's the washers I went ahead and put in, and luckily everything sits perfectly. Everything's spaced out just like I need it, and all the threads on the lock nuts are engaging. And you can see it gives us plenty of clearance now. All these parts have a little side-to-side play, so go ahead and move it side to side, putting it in the worst case scenario to check each side to make sure you have clearance. Now the other part you might have some fitment issues is with the under tray and the reservoir. On some models, these two pieces may interfere with each other. And this is the reason why the 2006 to 2007 shock is usually desired, due to the angle of the reservoir. On these models, it's perpendicular to the shock body, whereas other models, it angles up a bit higher. Now I expected to have this problem, and I think the reason I don't is due to the subframe. The subframe is the part that mounts here and here, and everything back is the subframe, and on 2003 models, it's a bit higher. After this year, they lowered it by about 40 millimeters, so if you have one of those models that sits lower, expect to have some clearance issues between the under tray and the reservoir. You'll have to trim that battery box just a little bit to make it fit. The other issue you might have is with an ABS module. If you have an ABS bike, I believe the module sits in this location. So if you want to fit a ZX10 shock in to an ABS model bike, expect to have to do some major mods, either deleting or relocating the ABS module. So I mentioned I did want to talk a little bit more about some other differences between the two, as well as how the ZX10 shock compares to some aftermarket options which you might be considering. And some other things I've put up here are like spring rate. For example, the ZX10 shock has a slightly stiffer spring rate of 8.3 kilograms per millimeter compared to the SV shock, which is slightly softer at 7.7 kilograms per millimeter. Also, on the ZX10 shock, it's rebuildable, so if it has a problem, it can be fixed if you take it to a shop and have them rebuild it. The SV shock is not rebuildable, so if it has a problem, it's trash. Expect to pay about $100 to $200 for a used ZX10 shock, and even if you need to rebuild it, which would cost you another couple $100, which might be the case because they're getting pretty old at this point, but still between that, you're going to be coming in much cheaper than an aftermarket shock. But for an aftermarket shock, which costs a lot more, you do get a lot more. For starters, it's going to be a much more higher performing shock right off the bat, and it's brand new, so you know it works. But you also get length adjustment, and you get optional spring rates. So with the aftermarket shock, you're going to be able to really dial things in just how you want it. As far as which way you should go, in my opinion, I really think it's just going to come down to cost and what you can afford. I think if you've got the money, an aftermarket shop is going to be much better as far as performance and fitment. But if you're on a tight budget, the ZX10 shock is certainly a good option as long as you're not afraid of doing a little extra work to make it fit. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the way this went. It'll be some time before I get to ride the bike and test it, but I'm happy that fitting it wasn't too much trouble. If you have any questions, something I forgot to put in the video, please leave a comment, or if you have anything else you want to chime in on and add to the video, some advice, please, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and good luck.